So first of all, here's a list of the contents I'll be discussing in the today's lecture. The first is meaning of bank, type of banks, and the functions of banks. So here we go with the meaning of bank. As we all are aware about some of the services of the bank, as we all have encountered one or more services of banks in our day-to-day lives. So the meaning of bank, so banks are the financial institutions that accept deposits from the public, create credit, provide a wide range of financial services to individuals, businesses, and government. Banks also perform key roles in the economy. So here are the roles of the banks that performs in the economy. First is facilitating the flow of money, deposits and withdrawals. Banks provides a safe place for individuals and businesses to deposit their money and offer easy access to withdraw it when needed. The payment services, there are several payment services provided by the bank, as bank enable the transfer of money through various methods such as checks, electronic transfers, and payment cards. The second is creating credit, loans and advances. So bank lend money to individual, businesses and governments for various purposes including personal needs, business expansion and infrastructure projects. Credit creation process. So the services provided by the bank of credit creation is by lending a portion of the deposits received, bank effectively create additional money in the economy which supports economic activity. The third role of the bank in the economic development is providing financial services. So, savings and investment products. Banks offer products like saving accounts, fixed deposits, mutual funds, and retirement accounts to help individuals and businesses save and grow their money. Insurance and risk management. Banks offer insurance products and services to help and manage the risk and protect assets. Foreign exchange services. There are several foreign exchange services provided by the banks, as bank facilitates international trade and investment by providing currency exchange services and international money transfer. Banks also manage risk by credit risk management. Bank assess and manage the risk of borrowers defaulting on loan. So here comes the second is market risk management. Banks management risk associated with fluctuation in interest rates, foreign exchange rates, and commodity prices. The fifth role of the government is contributing to economic stability and growth. Economic stability. By managing the supply of money and credit, banks help maintain price and control inflation. Economic growth. By providing credit and financial services, banks support business activities, innovation, and infrastructure development, lending to overall economic growth. So, here we go with the second topic, that is the types of banks. So, first is the commercial bank. So, we'll discuss about the commercial bank here. The primary function of the commercial bank is to provide financial assistance to business and industries. Commercial bank plays a crucial role in supporting the financial needs of businesses and industries by offering various types of loans and credit facilities. So there are several services that are provided by the commercial banks. So we'll discuss about some of the services here. So first services that is provided by the commercial bank is bill discounting. So the bill discounting means a financial services where the bank purchase the bills of exchange or invoices from the business at a discounted rate before their maturity date. The purpose of the bill discounting is to provide immediate funds to businesses, improving their liquidity and cash flow. So, the example. So, here we go with the example of a manufacturing company can sell its outstanding invoice to the bank to get quick access to cash needed for operation or expansion of the business. The second services provided by the commercial bank is short-term secured loans. So short-term secured loans means the loans which are provided for a short-term period, typically less than a year, secured against a collateral. The purpose of the short-term loans is to help businesses manage their working capital needs and short-term expenses. The example of the short-term capital loans are: a retail business may take a short-term loan against secured its inventory to stock upon goods before the holiday season. The third services provided by the commercial bank is cash credit accounts. Cash credit account typically means a type of credit facility where the bank allows businesses to withdraw money up to a certain limits against the security of inventory, receivables, or other assets. The purpose of the cash credit account is to provide flexible access to funds for managing day-to-day operations and addressing cash flow mismatches. So here we go with the example of cash credit account is: let's assume a construction company can use a cash credit account to finance ongoing projects and pay suppliers. The fourth service provided by the commercial bank is loans secured by finished or raw material. So loans secured by finished or raw material means the loans which are provided against the security of the finished goods or raw materials held by the businesses. The purpose of these loans is to help businesses convert their inventory into cash, ensuring smooth operations without liquidity constraint. So let's take an example of the loans secured by the finished and raw material. A textile company can secure a loan against its stock of fabric or clothing to finance its production process or marketing efforts. So here we go with the second bank, that is central banks. Central banks are basically the highest ranking organizations responsible for overseeing and managing the entire banking sector of a country. So let's take an example of the central bank. As we all know about the RBI, which is known as the Reserve Bank of India. So RBI is the Central Bank of India, which regulates the country's monetary and financial system. And it is responsible for the regulation of the country's overall monetary policies, financial policies, fiscal policies, and the monetary system. So we go with the functions of the Reserve Bank of India. So the first function of the Reserve Bank of India is to regulate money supply and interest rate. So in money supply, the first one is the monetary policy. Central bank use monetary policy tools to control the money supply and interest rate in the economy. This includes setting the benchmark interest rates and conducting open market operations. The second is inflation control. By adjusting interest rates and controlling the money supply, central bank aims to keep inflation within a target range, ensuring price stability. So it also regulates the economic growth of the country by managing interest rates. Central bank influence borrowing and spending in the economy, thus promoting economic growth across the nation. The second function of the Reserve Bank of India is to issue currency. So all the currencies except the coin 1 issued by the central bank, also known as Reserve Bank of India. So first function in issuance of currency is currency production. Central banks are responsible for the design, production, and distribution of the national currency and the currency regulation. Of course, they ensure the stability and integrity of the currency, protecting it from counterfeiting and ensuring adequate supply to meet the economy's need. RBI also maintains the financial stability across the country by banking supervision. So banking supervision includes when central bank oversee and regulate commercial banks and other financial institutions to ensure they operate safely and soundly. So lender of last resort in times of financial crisis. Central bank act as a lender of last resort by providing emergency funding to bank facing liquidity shortages to prevent bank failures and maintain confidence in the financial system. It also helps in financial system oversighting. They monitor and address system risk in the financial system, working to prevent financial crisis and ensuring the smooth functioning of financial market. So the third type of bank are the industrial banks. So the primary function of industrial bank is to provide fund for business expansion and modernization. As industrial bank is specialized in offering financial support to businesses for expanding their operation, upgrading technology and modernizing their infrastructure. So there are some additional services provided by the Industrial Bank of India. So here we go with the first additional services, which is offer managerial and technical guidance. Industrial banks also offers managerial assistance as the industrial bank provide advisory services to businesses, helping them with the strategic planning, management practices, and improving operational efficiency. So they also offer technical guidance by as they are expertise in technological upgrade, process improvements, and implementing innovative solutions to enhance productivity and competitiveness among the organizations. So let's discuss about some of the examples of the industrial banks in India. So first example is in the Indian Industrial Development Bank, IDBI. So here is the overview of the IDBI. IDBI was established to provide credit and other financial facilities for the development of Indian industry. So here are the several services provided by the IDBI as it offers a range of financial products including project finance, infrastructure finance, and working capital loans. It also provides assistance in raising capitals through various instruments like bonds and debentures. So let's come to the second example of the industrial bank. As we all know about the ICICI. So ICICI stands for Indian Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation. It was set up to provide medium-term and long-term project financing to Indian businesses. So the services provided by the ICI are it offers financial products and services such as term loans, project finance, equipment finance, and corporate advisory services. It also supports businesses in accessing international capital markets. Industrial banks also help in economic development of the country, or it has the role in the economic development of the country. So, as industrial bank plays a crucial role in promoting industrial growth and economic development by providing the necessary funds for large scale projects and infrastructure development. Industrial banks also supports for startup and small and medium enterprises known as SMEs. So apart from the large scale industries, industrial banks support startups and SMEs by providing seed capital, venture capital, and growth funding. Industrial banks also facilitate the technological advancement of the organizations by offering technical guidance, financial support. Industrial banks help businesses adopt new technologies and innovations, driving modernization and efficiency in the industrial sector. Industrial banks also contribute to the employment generation of the country by financing new industrial projects and the expansion of existing ones. Industrial banks contribute to job creation and the overall economic growth of the country. So here we go with the fourth bank, that are land mortgage banks, which is also known as the agriculture banks. So the primary functions of the agriculture banks is to offer long-term loans to the farmers. Agricultural banks or the land mortgage banks are basically to provide assistance to the farmers or the agri-business, to support the agribusiness of the country or to support the farmers of the country. It offers long-term loans to farmers. Land mortgage banks specialize in providing long-term financing to farmers to support agriculture activities and development. So we'll discuss about the loan security. How does the loan secured? So the loan secured by the mortgage of agriculture land. Agriculture bank provide loans that are secured by the mortgage of agricultural land, ensuring that farmers have access to necessary funds while using their land as collateral. What can be the uses of those loans? So, of course, farmer can use these loans for various reasons, but let's discuss some of the reasons farmer can use these loans. So, first one is for the purchase of machinery, or we can say the purchase of tractor. Tractor is used for the modernization of farming equipment. So loans are provided to farmers to purchase tractors and other modern machinery, which helps to increase productivity, efficiency, and reduce labor cost. So let's discuss an example of the use of these loans. So let's assume a farmer wants to purchase a tractor to modernize its machinery for plowing, planting, and harvesting processes, leading to faster and more efficient farming operation. So a farmer will take the loan by securing collateral as his agricultural land to purchase the tractor. The second services or the second use of these loans is to install modern equipment or to infrastructure development. Loans can also be used for installing irrigation systems, greenhouses, and other modern agriculture equipment that enhance crop yields and ensure sustainable farming practices. Let's discuss the example of infrastructure development. Installing drip irrigation system to conserve water and improve irrigation efficiency, which can lead to better crop growth and higher yields, and also results in a sustainable farming. So farmer can use these loans for the infrastructure development. And the third uses of these loans is to purchase of cattle, seeds, fertilizers, etc. Livestock and crop production. Loans can be used to purchase livestock such as cattle, which are essential for the dairy and meat production. Additionally, funds can be allocated for buying high quality of seeds and fertilizer to improve the crop quality and the yield of the crop. For example, a farmer might use the loan to purchase high yield seeds and organic fertilizers to increase the crop production and improve soil health, or to buy cattle to expand the dairy production. Here we'll discuss the role of the agriculture banks in agriculture development. How can the agriculture banks help in the development of the agriculture or agri-business of the country? So the bank plays a critical role in supporting agriculture development by providing the necessary financial resources for the farmer to invest in modern farming equipments and technologies, which in turn enhances productivity and sustainability. It also supports for rural economy. As we all are aware that agriculture is for the rural economy, for the growth of the rural economy. So by providing long-term loans, these banks help improve the economic condition of rural areas, supporting not only farmers but also contributing to the overall development of the rural infrastructure and communities. These banks also offers a risk management by securing loans with agricultural land helps mitigate the risk for both the banks and for the farmers. It ensures that farmers have a reliable source of funding while providing the banks with collateral to secure the loans. It also helps in sustainable farming practices. So these loans aimed at purchasing modern equipments and technologies promotes sustainable farming practices which are essential for long-term agriculture productivity and environmental conservation. So it also enhances the agriculture output. So these banks also enhance the agriculture output by financing the purchase of high quality seeds, organic fertilizers, modern farming equipment. These banks help increase agriculture output, ensure food security, and contributing to the country's GDP. Now we are moving toward the next type of bank, which is merchant bank. The primary function of the merchant bank is to provide financial services to businesses. Merchant bank offers a variety of financial services to businesses, particularly in the realm of underwriting, issue management, and consulting. They are essential in facilitating the capital raising processes and providing strategic advice to corporations. So we'll discuss about the specialization of the merchant banks. These are specialized in some of the categories. The first one is underwriting. In underwriting, we'll discuss about the risk assessment guarantee. So the risk assessment guarantee is defined as the merchant banks evaluate and assume the risk of selling a new issue of securities. They guarantee the sale of the security by purchasing them from the issuer and then reselling them to the investor. Let's take an example of underwriting. A company issuing new shares might rely on a merchant bank to underwrite the issue, ensuring that the company receives the required capital even if the entire issue is not sold to the public. The second specialized activity conducted by the merchant bank is issue management. Merchant bank manage the process of issuing new securities, which includes the IPOs known as the initial public offerings and follow-on public offerings. They handle the regulatory paperwork, marketing, and distribution of those kind of securities. Let's take an example of that. So, during an IPO, an initial public offering, a merchant bank will manage the process of start to finish, including due diligence, preparing the prospectus, coordinating with regulatory bodies, and marketing the issue to potential investors who have the potential to invest in these kinds of IPOs. So the third specialization of the merchant bank is consulting. Merchant bank provides expert advice on merger and acquisition, corporate restructuring, project finance, and other strategic financial decisions. They help businesses navigate complex financial landscape and make informed decisions. Let's take example of consulting. A company considering a merger with a competitor might hire a merchant bank to conduct a valuation, perform due diligence, and advise on the best structure and strategy for the merger. So we'll discuss the examples of the merchant banks in India. Here are several merchant banks in India. The first one is SBI Capital Markets. SBI Capital Market, which is a subsidiary of the State Bank of India. It is one of the leading merchant banks in India. It offers a wide range of investment banking and financial advisory services. So now we'll discuss about the services offered by the SBI Capital Market. So first one is SBI Capital Market specializes in project advisory and structured finance, debt and equity capital markets, mergers and acquisition, private equity advisory, and restructuring services. The role of merchant banks in the capital market. There is a huge role played by the merchant banks in the capital markets. So the role is these banks helped companies raise capital through the issuance of stocks in banks. They act as intermediaries between the issuers and the investors, facilitating the smooth functioning of capital market. They also support the corporate growth of the country by providing underwriting services. Merchant banks help companies secure the necessary funds for expansion, research and development, and other growth initiatives. Their expertise in issue management ensures that company can effectively navigate the complexities of public offering. Merchant banks are also the expert in financial advisories. They offer specialized consulting services that help businesses make strategic financial decisions. They advise on mergers and acquisition, restructuring of the company, which can impact the company's long-term success and competitiveness. Merchant banks also help in the risk mitigation of the organization of any corporate company. With the help of underwriting, merchant bank help mitigate the risk for company issuing new securities. They provide a safety net by guaranteeing the sale of the securities, which help maintain investors' confidence and market stability. So, merchant banks also facilitate large transactions. Merchant banks are instrumental in facilitating large financial transactions, including mergers and acquisition. Their comprehensive services ensures that such transactions are conducted smoothly, efficiently, and in compliance with all regulatory requirements. So here we move to the next type of bank, which is exchange banks. So what are exchange banks? Exchange banks are typically the banks which are specialized in buying and selling of foreign currencies. They play a pivotal role in international finance by facilitating the exchange of different currencies for businesses and individuals. So there are the various services provided by the exchange banks. Now we'll discuss about those services. The first type of services provided by the exchange bank is the financing for international trade. The exchange bank offers various financial products and services to support international trade. This includes providing letter of credit, trade credit, and other form of financing that enables businesses to engage in cross-border transactions. Let's take an example. So, a company importing goods and another country might use an exchange bank to secure a letter of credit, ensuring that the exporter receives payment once the goods are shipped and the required documents are presented. So, the another services provided by the exchange bank is facilitation of currency exchange, which includes the currency conversion services. Exchange Bank provides services that allow businesses and individuals to convert one currency into another. So this is essential for the international trade, travel and investment as well. Let's take an example of currency conversion services. A business that receives payment in a foreign currency can use an exchange bank to convert those funds into their home currency, ensuring they have the liquidity needed to operate domestically. The third services provided by the foreign exchange bank is the trade finance, which include the structured trade solutions. Exchange banks offer various trade finance instruments such as export and import financing to help manage the financial risk associated with international trade. These include services like pre-shipment and post-shipment finances. Let's take an example of trade finance. A business exporting goods might obtain pre-shipment finance to fund the production of the goods before they are shipped and receive payment from the buyers. So Example of the exchange bank. So there are several exchange banks that are operating in the country. So here is the first example, which is Citibank. It is a prominent example of an exchange bank that offer extensive foreign exchange and trade finance services to business worldwide. They provide solutions that help manage currency risk, facilitate trade, international trade, and support global business opportunities across the country. Now we'll discuss about the role of exchange banks in the international trade. How the exchange banks help in international trade. So exchange banks are pivotal in supporting international trade by providing the necessary financial infrastructure and services. They help businesses manage currency risk and ensure a smooth transaction across the border. They also help in managing currency risk. Now we'll discuss about how they are managing the currency risk. So they offers various hedging tools and strategies to help businesses manage the risk associated with fluctuating exchange rates. And this process ensures that the business can protect their profit and plan their finances more effectively. Exchange banks also facilitate global business operations by offering services like currency conversion, trade finance. Exchange banks facilitate the seamless operation of business in the global marketplace. They enable companies to expand their reach and operate effectively and efficiently across the globe or across the different countries. Exchange Bank also support the importers and exporters. So how the exchange bank support the importers and exporters? As they provide critical support to both importer and exporters by offering financial solutions that bridge the gap between the production and the payment cycles. This helps businessmen maintain liquidity and manage cash flow effectively. These banks also enhance economic connectivity across the borders or among the global market by making it easier for businessmen to engage in international trade. Their services help lower the barriers to entry in foreign markets, promote global economic integration. Now we are moving toward the next type of banks, which are the cooperative banks. Cooperative banks are basically the financial institution that function based on cooperative principles. They are owned and controlled by their members who are also their customers. So it means the customers of the cooperative banks are also their members, or we can say the board members. These banks aim to provide financial services to their members and support the economic development of the country. Now we'll discuss about the legal structure of the cooperative banks. So these banks are registered under the Corporate Society Act, and they are also regulated by the Cooperative Society Act of the respective country in which they are operating. The legal framework ensures that they operate transparently and in the best interest of their members. So here some of the services provided by the cooperative banks. The number one is accepting deposits from members. So the deposits from the members, which includes the savings and fixed deposits. Cooperative banks accept various types of deposits from their members. That includes the saving accounts, fixed deposits, recurring deposits. These deposits provide a safe place for members to save their money while earning their interest. Let's take an example of accepting deposits. A member can open a saving account with a cooperative bank to safely store their money and earn the interest over time on his or her money. So the second services provided by the cooperative bank is to offer loans at reasonable interest rate. The cooperative banks offer loans to their members at competitive and often lower interest rate compared to the commercial banks. which includes the personal loans, agricultural loans, and business loans. For example, a farmer who is a member of the cooperative bank can obtain an agricultural loan at a reasonable interest to purchase seeds and fertilizer to modernize its farming equipments rather than from the agriculture bank or the land mortgage bank. So, examples of the cooperative banks in India. First one is the urban cooperative banks. These banks primarily serve urban areas and provide banking services to individuals, small businesses, and community groups. The next are state cooperative banks and district central cooperative banks. These banks primarily serve rural areas and focus on providing agriculture and rural development loans. So these banks also include in the community-oriented banking. So we'll discuss about now what community-oriented banking is. Cooperative banks are established to meet the financial needs of their local communities. They focus on providing accessible and affordable banking services to their members, who typically have a say in the bank's operation and decision-making process. And now discuss about the member ownership. So members of cooperative banks are both customer and owners, as we have discussed previously. So this dual role ensures that the bank's operation are aligned with the interests of its members, promoting a sense of ownership and responsibility among its members. Financial inclusion. Cooperative banks plays a crucial role in promoting financial inclusion by providing banking services to undeserved and marginalized section of the communities. They help bridge the gap between the formal banking institution and people in the rural and semi-urban areas. Cooperative banks also support for agriculture and small businesses. We have also discussed this earlier as by offering affordable credit solution. Cooperative banks support the growth of agriculture and small businesses. They provide the necessary financial resource or the necessary financial assistance for these sectors to thrive, contributing to the overall economic development of the community. Thus, the inclusion of the small businesses, the agriculture, and the urban areas as well. Democratic control. Cooperative bank operates on democratic principles, with members having the right to vote on key decisions and elect the board of directors. So the board of directors will be from the members of the bank only. This democratic control ensures that the bank's policies and practices reflect the collective interest of its members and also its customers. Profit sharing. Profit generated by the cooperative banks are typically shared among its members in the form of dividend, lower interest rates on loans, and higher interest rates on deposits. This profit sharing model ensures that the financial benefit of the bank are returned to its members. So now we'll discuss about another type of bank, which is foreign banks. So foreign banks are the financial institutions that originate from a country different from one they operate in. They establish their presence in other countries through subsidiaries, branches, or representative offices. So here are some key points to understand about the foreign banks. For example, number one is types of presence. Foreign banks can operate in a host country in a several ways in the form of subsidiaries. These are locally incorporated entities that operate under the host country's banking regulation. Subsidiaries are legally separate from their parent banks. So next is branches. These banks can operate in a host country in the form of branches as well. So these are the extensions of foreign banks' headquarters. Branches operate under the parent bank's license and are subject to both regulation and the oversight of the parent bank. They can also operate as a representative offices. These offices serve as a liaison offices to facilitate business development, market research, and client relations. They do not engage in banking activities like accepting deposits or providing loans. Services offered by the foreign banks. So, some of the services are, the number one is retail banking. Services such as savings, accounts, checking accounts, loans, credit cards, and mortgage for individuals. Corporate banking. Services tailored for businesses, including loans, trade finance, cash management, and advisory services. The next is investment banking. Services related to capital markets, mergers and acquisition, underwriting, and advisory services. The next is wealth management. These banks also provide services which aim at managing and growing the wealth of high net worth individual and institutional clients. Let's discuss about the regulation of the foreign banks. Foreign banks operating in a host country must adhere to local banking regulations set by the regulatory authority of that country. This ensures compliance with prudential norms, capital adequacy requirements, consumer protection laws, and other regulatory standards. So, when the foreign banks are operating in a different countries, there must be some of the benefits the banks are providing to the host country or to the other countries in which they are operating. So, let's discuss about these benefits. So, benefits of the foreign bank. The first one is competition. They introduce competition which can lead to improved services, lower cost, and innovation in a country's market. Access to global markets. They provide access to international financial market products and expertise. Diversification. They contribute to diversifying the financial landscape by offering different products and services compared to domestic bank. Now discuss about the challenges of the foreign banks. Foreign banks may face challenges such as adapting to local market conditions, navigating regulatory requirements, and managing cultural differences that can arise between their home and the host country. So now we'll discuss about the subsidiary of the foreign banks that are operating in India. Example of subsidiaries of foreign banks operating in India are, the one is American Express, which is primarily for its credit card services. American Express also offers banking services in India through its subsidiaries. The second one is Standard Chartered Bank, a British multinational bank. Standard Chartered operates several branches in India, providing a range of banking and financial services. The third is Bank of America. This American multinational bank operates in India through its subsidiaries, offering corporate banking, investment banking, and wealth management services. Citibank, part of Citigroup, Citibank operates as a subsidiary in India, providing retail banking, corporate banking, and wealth management services. The next is the Hong Kong Bank, HSBC. Originally, the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation operates extensively in India, offering banking, wealth management, and commercial banking services. These banks typically cater to both individual and corporate clients, offering a wide range of financial products and services tailored to the Indian market's needs. They are regulated by the Reserve Bank of India, which is the Central Bank of India, and must comply with the local banking regulations while leveraging their global expertise and networks. Now we will move towards the next type of banks, which are the saving banks. So, saving banks are the financial institutions that primarily focus on promoting thriftiness among their patrons by encouraging regular savings and providing a safe place to deposit money. So the role and characteristics of savings banks particularly in the context of promoting thriftiness in their operation as postal saving banks in India. So now we'll discuss about the role of saving banks in promotion of thriftiness among these patrons, how it can promote the thriftiness. So number one, because of encouraging savings. Saving banks aim to cultivate a culture of saving among individuals and households. They offer saving accounts that typically earn interest on deposited funds, motivating people to set aside money regularly to save some of their amount from their earnings. And the financial education. Many saving banks also provide financial literacy program and resources to educate customers about the benefit of saving, budgeting, and managing personal finances effectively. So the purpose of saving banks. There are various purposes of the saving banks and why these banks are operating in our country. The number one is saving for the future. One of the primary and the important goal of saving bank is to help people accumulate funds for future needs and goals. This could include saving for emergencies, education expenses, retirement, or major purchases like a home or a car or any new machinery. Stable financial foundation. By fostering regular saving habits, saving banks contribute to building a stable financial foundation for individuals and families, promoting financial resilience and security among the nations. Operation as postal saving banks in India. So the saving banks also operate as the postal saving banks in India. These banks operate through the extensive network of Indian Post, which is also known as the Department of Post. They provide basic banking services, including saving accounts, fixed deposits, recurring deposits, and money transfer facilities. Now discussing about the accessibility of the postal saving banks. It plays a crucial role in promoting financial inclusion by offering banking services in rural and remote areas where traditional banks may not have a presence. India's post vast network of post offices ensures accessibility to banking services for a large segment of the population. Now we'll discuss about the services offered by the saving banks. Number one is the saving accounts. These banks allow the customers to open the saving account and to deposit money and earn interest on their savings. The second is fixed deposit and recurring deposits. These products enable customers to save larger amount over a fixed period, earning higher interest rate than regular saving accounts. So let's talk about the other services such as the saving banks may also offer ATM card, online banking, mobile banking to enhance convenience for the customer. Now we'll talk about the regulation and safety of the saving banks. Saving banks, which also include the postal saving banks, are regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. They must comply with the regulatory requirement to ensure the safety of deposits and financial stability. So, saving banks plays a vital role in fostering financial discipline and helping individuals achieve their saving goals. As postal saving banks in India, they contribute significantly to financial inclusions by extending banking services to undeserved or marginalized community across the countries. So now we'll discuss about the another type of banks, which are indigenous banks. Indigenous banks refers to the local financial institutions that are typically established and operated within a specific region or community. So now we'll discuss about the characteristics or role of the indigenous banks, especially in the small towns and villages where they serve population who may not have easy access to the traditional banking services. So these banks are community based. Indigenous banks are rooted in the local community they serve. They may be founded by the local entrepreneurs, cooperatives, or local community organizations with the goal of meeting the financial needs of residents. The indigenous banks have focused on the region. They have the regional focus. These banks primarily operate within a specific geographical area, often focusing on serving the financial needs of rural or semi-urban population. Now we'll discuss about the core function of the indigenous banks. So number one is accepting deposits. Indigenous banks provide basic banking services such as accepting deposits from individuals, from businesses, from the local organizations, and the deposits. It can include the saving accounts, fixed deposits, and other form of saving instruments. So the indigenous bank can also provide loans, and they extend credit facilities to customers, including the small business loans, agriculture loans, personal loans, housing loans. These loans help stimulate economic activity within the community by supporting local businesses and individual aspirations. So now we'll discuss about the accessibility and outreach of the indigenous banks. The indigenous banks are very popular in the small town and villages as they are accessible towards the people of the rural areas where the access of traditional banks may be limited. So they typically bridge the gap by providing financial services locally and promoting the financial inclusion across the nation. They also offers the personalized services such as customer services, understanding the unique financial circumstances and need of their clients. Uh, as we have discussed earlier about the financial inclusion of the indigenous banks, so now how the indigenous banks cater towards the financial inclusion. So number one is by serving the unbanked and underbanked. Indigenous banks plays a crucial role in reaching population who may not meet the criteria for services at larger banks who live in areas where banking infrastructure is sparse. And it also empowers local economies by providing access to financial services. Indigenous banks contribute to local economic development and empowerment. They help individuals and communities build assets, improve livelihoods, and manage financial risk. So, there come the challenges and opportunities of the indigenous bank. So, first we'll discuss about the challenges of the indigenous banks or the challenges that are faced by the indigenous banks. The first one is the regulatory compliance. Indigenous banks must adhere to regulatory requirements set by the central bank or financial authorities to ensure financial stability and protect depositors' interest. Second is technological integration. Adopting modern banking technologies such as mobile banking, internet banking, digital payment solution can enhance operational efficiency and effectiveness and customer reach for the indigenous bank. So, in summary, we can say that indigenous banks serves as important pillars of local economies, fostering economic growth, promoting saving culture, and promoting essential financial services to communities that may otherwise be undeserved by traditional banking institutions. Their localized approach and community centric operations make them integral to promoting inclusive economic development. Now we are moving towards the next type of bank, which is the scheduled banks. Scheduled banks are the financial institutions that are included in the second schedule of the Reserve Bank of India Act of 1934. The classification signified that these banks are eligible for certain privileges and responsibilities under the regulatory framework of the Reserve Bank of India. So now we'll discuss about the criteria scheduled bank must meet to operate in our country. Number one is inclusion in the second schedule. The scheduled banks are officially recognized and listed by the Reserve Bank of India as being part of the second schedule of the RBI Act of 1934. Being scheduled allows these banks to enjoy certain privileges such as access to Reserve Bank of India's refinance facilities, clearing facilities, and protecting of deposit insurance. Discussing about the criteria for classification. First is paid up capital and reserves. Scheduled bank must have a minimum paid up capital and reserve of at least 5 lakh. This financial requirement ensures that banks have adequate capital to absorb losses and maintain financial stability. The second is the conduction of the affairs. Scheduled bank must satisfy the Reserve Bank of India that their affairs are conducted in the best interest of the depositors. This involves maintaining prudent banking practices, adhering to regulatory guidelines, and safeguarding depositors' funds. So now we'll discuss about the types of the scheduled bank. There are different types of scheduled bank that are operating in our country. The number one is the commercial banks. Commercial banks provide a wide range of financial services, including accepting deposits, providing loans, and offering various banking products to individual businesses and governments as well. Regional rural banks are also known as the scheduled banks. These are the scheduled banks that operates at the regional level to provide banking and financial services in rural areas, particularly to the small farmers, artisans, and rural businessmen. The third are the cooperative banks. Cooperative banks include the urban cooperative banks and the rural cooperative banks are also included as the scheduled bank. They operate on a cooperative basis and serve specific communities or regions. Now we'll discuss about the regulatory oversight of the scheduled banks. So as we all know that the scheduled banks work under the SBI regulations, as the scheduled bank is subject to stringent regulatory oversight by the Reserve Bank of India. The central bank monitors their financial health, liquidity, capital adequacy, and compliance with prudential norms to ensure stability and protect depositors' interest. Disclosure requirements. Scheduled banks are required to regularly disclose their financial statements, operational performance, and other relevant information to the RBI and to the public. So now we'll discuss about the importance of the scheduled bank in the banking sector of our country. The first is systematic importance. Scheduled bank plays a critical role in the financial system by mobilizing savings, facilitating credit for productive purposes, and contributing to the economic growth. Trust and confidence. Being classified as the schedule instills trust and confidence among depositors and investors due to regulatory oversight and protection mechanisms provided by the Reserve Bank of India. So, in the conclusion, we can say that the scheduled banks in India are the foundation of the banking sector, ensuring financial stability, promoting economic development, and safeguarding the interests of the depositors through adherence to regulatory standards set by the Reserve Bank of India. So we have discussed the types of banks. Now we will move toward the last topic, which is the function of banks. As we all know, that bank performs several key functions in the financial system, including accepting deposits, lending money, etc. So first, we'll discuss about accepting deposits, in which in which there is a saving account. So the purpose of the saving accounts. Saving accounts are designed for individuals to deposit their savings securely while earning a modest interest rate. The features of the saving account are: the number one is interest. These accounts typically earn interest on the deposited amount. Although the rates are generally lower compared to the fixed deposit, but still they offer interest rates on your saving amounts. Liquidity. Saving accounts offer easy access to funds through withdrawals, usually through ATM branches or online banking. Minimum balance. Banks may require a minimum balance to be maintained in saving account to avoid fees or penalties. Benefits of the saving account is they promote regular saving habits and are suitable for short term to medium term financial goals. Now we'll discuss about the current accounts. So the current accounts are the primarily used accounts by the businessmen, by the businesses, firms, and individuals who have frequent transactions and need quick access to the funds. Let's discuss about the features of the current accounts. The first is no interest. Unlike the saving accounts, current accounts generally do not earn interest on deposited funds. Unlimited transaction. They allow for an unlimited number of transactions such as deposits, withdrawal, and transfers. They also provide overdraft facilities. Many current account offers overdraft facilities, allowing account holders to withdraw more than their account balance up to a specified limits. Business use. Current accounts are essential for managing businesses' finances, including payroll, supplier payment, and daily operational expenses, as the current account offer the number of transactions, the new the uncountable number of transactions to the businesses. Now we'll discuss about the fixed deposits. The purpose of fixed deposits is these are the long-term savings instrument where funds are deposited for a specific period ranging from a few months to the several years. So now discuss about the features of the fixed